The CEO has teased the brand new cape reward we're going to get for the PSN drama. Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. So it's a little bit of a, well, I was going to say a cryptic teaser. It's not. It's just a sort of a shot of the right hand side kind of lower section of the cape, and you can see the red lines coming down. That is to indicate the massive negative review bombing on Steam. Now this cape, we do believe, or well, we know for a fact to be honest, is just going to be given to all players upon login. Now, I'd imagine this is almost ready to go and it's probably going to drop next week, maybe on Tuesday when they generally do an update. I'm also expecting some sort of a weapon balance update on Tuesday because there's been a massive disaster with the balance of the weapons in the recent war bond, i.e. they're just not very good. But yeah, this is cool to see. I wish he kind of showed it off in a bit more detail, but whatever. It's good stuff. Anyway, guys, we've got a lot to cover in this video because yet again more countries have been removed from buying the game on Steam, but there is an explanation for this because we were believing this is something that Sony has done. It turns out it was Valve, but it turns out the situation once again is more complicated than we thought, and the CEO does shine some light on this. And we've got some other stuff to cover in the video, notably around teasing the new enemy faction. Let's do this. Johan gives more insight into what's going on with Sony. Now, this is what he says. So to give an update on the 3 further country restrictions, it was an administrative error correction. They should have been part of the original restriction, and it was noticed when the restriction was put in place for Tsushima. This was noticed and executed independently by Valve. While it doesn't look positive, it is not an indication of further restrictions. The conversation is on region restrictions is still ongoing and is independent of this. I have no further information. We, Arrowhead, still want the game to be available everywhere. Hope you all have a great Saturday, and I'm sorry I don't have a better update. This was in response to this. Now, this is SteamDB updating with Ghots of Tsushima. Actually, that has got exactly the same restrictions as Helldivers 2 now, which of course this is a PSN required game, so it will not be available on Steam in regions where you cannot sign up for a PSN, which is probably indicative of what's going on with Sony. But the big question here is this Sony actually doing this, or is it Valve preemptively doing this? Because they're basically saying, guys, if you're going to force PSN requirement on any of your PlayStation games that are added to Steam, then you simply cannot sell them in regions where you don't have PSN availability. And so are Steam coming in and sort of nuking this before it happens? Or is Sony doing this? In which case, this is Sony basically saying, no, we're not going to sell games in countries where you can't sign up for a PSN, because ultimately we want everybody signed up to a PSN if they're playing on PlayStation, rather to a PSN account, I should say, if they're playing on PC, not PlayStation. So these were the countries that were added to the restrictions recently, which prompted the CEO to make the response. And this was the Baltic region. So you had Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia were added. Now, like Johan says, this was an oversight. This should have been added with the current restrictions that were in place, and they were added later, so it looked bad. It looks like, hang on, is Sony actually going to start removing more countries that they decide, you know, hey, they ain't got PSN requirements, let's get them out of it? And it's just, it really, all round, is not a great look. And you can see here from community reaction, just literally go over to Reddit, go onto Twitter, just search Helldivers, and you'll see posts instantly about this. I picked this one out because it made me laugh. And they just added 3 more countries. RIP to our fallen Helldivers. We refund Helldivers 2 in protest. Sony apologises and backpedals. We buy Helldivers 2 again and also give positive reviews. And then we see it is still not available in all of those regions. IGN were also reporting that Ghots of Tsushima Director's Cut is now also restricted on Steam in regions where PSN is not available, as Helldivers 2 adds the Baltics to its restricted regions. Now, like I said, what's going on here, and like Johan has explained, the game should not have been available in those regions because you cannot actually sign up for a PSN. So when the original restrictions were put in place, after the PSN requirement was enforced, they should have been added. They've just been added retroactively, so it looks like they're going ahead and updating the list, which apparently isn't the case. The issue is, though, it's still murky. Like, what is Sony doing? Like, they're not giving us any information here. All they've said is, okay, for Helldivers 2, PSN won't be a requirement, but it's going to be a requirement for all the other games that they're pumping out on Steam. So that would mean, and it would indicate, that those games are never going to be buyable in regions where you can't sign up for a PSN. Now, this is, it's kind of hilarious, to be honest, because Sony is shooting themselves in the foot. They're going to lose sales over this. Gabe from Valve is on record very publicly in the past saying the best way to defeat piracy is to give people a better service so they don't go and pirate. Well, people are going to pirate Ghosts of Tsushima. I can't even speak anymore. Ghosts of Tsushima. Ghosts. I need a drink. They're going to go and pirate that anyway. And why are they going to do that? Because they can't actually buy the game on Steam. Because it's not available in their region. It's actually stupid. It is idiotic. So hopefully they reverse that. But the problem is Sony want everyone on a PSN account. The difference with Helldivers is they sold the game in those regions and didn't enforce the PSN requirement for nearly 4 months. That means they're in a bit of a, well, they're in a bit of a quagmire, ain't they? Because they've got to do something about this. And their reaction was to say, okay, PSN isn't required for Helldivers 2 anymore. But crucially, they have not put the game back up for sale in the regions where PSN cannot be signed up for. So that is almost restricting people who can't sign up for PSN. And like I said in a recent video, wouldn't put it past Sony to give some sort of reward down the line, which then makes people want to actually sign up for PSN. So in the end, they get your data anyway. And even they could just play the longer game. And when more and more games get added to Steam, people inevitably buy them, inevitably link their PSN account. So they're going to get the Helldivers link anyway. Think about God of War comes out, God of War Ragnarok. I've not played that. I've played the God of War reboot on my PS5, but I've not played God of War Ragnarok. Will I play that on PC? Well, if I do that, I've got to link my PSN account. So they've got me. Anyway, I'm a Helldivers player. I'm linked anyway, you know what I mean? So Sony can easily play that long game. What I'm worried about, though, is more specifically for Helldivers, because this is a game that's built on community and heavily restricting the regions that it's playable in. Honestly, to me, it doesn't make any sense. So I want Sony to go back on this. I want them to make an exception. I want them to make an exception for all of their games as well. Let's be real. I don't want them to like restrict game sales just because you're in a region where you can't sign up with a PSN. Because all that happen is, in those regions, piracy will increase. It's stupid. Sort it out, Sony. It's not a good look. So Johan adds a bit more flavour on Twitter. It's a lot more than the accounts. Sony knowingly sold the game in 180 markets that they knew they were going to pull support from. They just added 3 more countries to the list of unsupported countries, making it 180 total countries that won't be able to play if PSN is required. And Johan says PSN won't be required, the sale will be honoured, and it won't be made unplayable. He then goes on to say, in response to this, thank you. Why have they continued to add more countries to the list of restrictions, though? It was an administrative technicality correction. I posted about it earlier, and of course, we covered that at the top of the video. So yeah, that's the situation at the moment with all of this. We're still waiting for Sony to go back on it. I think next week's going to be a pretty big week, because will they? That is the question. So what about collabs in Helldivers 2? Now, this is such great insight into the way Arrowhead are thinking about this. So this Twitter user says, is this where collabs come into place? I know we are not Fortnite, but still, imagine a Predator live event hunted by them rewards Predator armor. Now, this was in response to a tweet which was showing off a Star Wars mod for Helldivers 2. There's actually quite a lot of insane mods popping up for Helldivers 2 now. But remember, if you're going to mod the game, it's this possibility that the anti-cheat will ban you, which is not great. But Arrowhead, their official stance, or unofficial stance, is yeah, go ahead and mod the game. But their official stance is if you do and you get banned, we didn't mean that. It's the anti-cheat. Anyway, Johan says this. Imagine if there was a Predator-like alien species in the Helldivers universe that were exiled from the galaxy that were planning vengeance. Well, I wonder what that could be. This is, of course, teasing the next enemy faction, which is going to be added to the game. And somebody responds with Illuminated, and Johan says, I prefer enlightened, but thank you. This is, of course, in reference to the Illuminate. They were the alien faction that were pushed out of the galaxy by the Helldivers in the First War. Now, I believe in the Helldivers lore, this is over 100 years ago, so for Helldivers 1, the Illuminate are defeated, they're pushed out of the galaxy. Where are they? Well, they're coming back, and they're going to come back with a vengeance. And when they come back, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. The question is, when are they coming back? Now, it is kind of a little bit spoilery, this is. I don't know how or when they're coming back, but I have seen videos, and I've seen media about Illuminate models. In fact, months and months ago, I actually made a video on it, but after that, I decided not to do that anymore. But we know it's the Illuminate that are coming. It's no surprise. But what I'm more interested about is how they're going to arrive, how their weapons are going to function, how their enemies are going to function. It's going to be awesome. What kind of mission types you're going to get. Really, honestly, it's going to be sick. But the question is, when are they going to do this? Because Surely they've got some massive event planned for this, or I don't know. Honestly, I can't wait for this. It's going to be sick. But yeah, the Illuminate from Helldivers 1 are 100% coming to Helldivers 2. We just don't know when. But the CEO really enjoys teasing people on Twitter about it. So let's drill down back on collabs. Look at this. Now this is Ghosts of Tsushima. Why can I not say this anymore? I said it earlier on in the video. Now I've just lost my mind. Anyway, this is for their armor, which is inspired by God of War. And there's a tweet that says, has there been any talk of Helldivers 2 armors inspired by other PlayStation characters, such as Kratos, Aloy, Jin Sakai, or even a certain wall crawler? Well, Johan responds with, lots, but we don't want to dilute the brand by making crossovers that don't make sense. And this is true, isn't it? Like, crossovers, yeah, they can be fun. And I think, you know, when you look at Helldivers, it is one giant crossover anyway. You've got Aliens, you've got Starship Troopers, you've got Robocop, you've got Terminator. You've just got everything thrown into this, right? It's all their unique sort of take on all of that kind of mad fantasy. And it's great and it's awesome. But adding stuff into the game that literally shouldn't belong there just for money, well, we've seen a lot of games do this. And in fact, you know, I'm going to rag on Overwatch because they've recently added a Porsche, or Porsche if you want to be fancy. Porsche to me, mate, because it goes in the garage, not the garage. In fact, I think technically it's Porsche. But I'm an idiot, whatever. But yeah, we've seen a skin, which is the Porsche Macan, being added into Overwatch 2, which makes absolutely zero sense because, for a start, Porsches are like 100 grand sports cars, yeah? I know you can get cheaper ones, but I mean, when I say cheaper, like what? What's the cheapest Porsche you can buy? 60 grand? 70 grand? It's stupid money. The average Overwatch player, I don't think is particularly someone who's going around shopping for a goddamn sports car or some sort of souped-up SUV. Then they're just not doing that. It makes absolutely no sense. And then it gets even worse because in that game, you've then got Diva, one of the characters, has got a skin that's based on one of their cars, and it's got the Porsche logos all over it. And it's like, what is going on here? This doesn't belong in this game. It actually is cringeworthy. Why are they doing it? Well, it's because money's exchanged hands. And this is because games get too bloated, they get too big. I'm sure somebody in the marketing department over at Activision Blizzard has gone, hey, you know what? I'm having a midlife crisis. I'd really like to go and drive some Porsches. Maybe we can do like a Porsche crossover event. Oh, look, Porsche want to get brand recognition with the Zoomers. Oh, look, we've got some Zoomers playing our game. Let's try and sell them a package where we'll go, hey, we'll put your logos and branding in our game. Players will really resonate with it, and then you might get future customers down the line, and Porsche are like, oh, yeah, all right, I have $10 million, go and do it. That's all that's happened there. It's actually terrible. It dilutes the game. It's just a joke, you know. The people making the game, you've got to have faith, you've got to believe in your game, you've got to have pride in your game. We can see Johan don't want to do this, which I think is fine. I don't think Helldivers needs to do this anyway. While it would be funny to just see some random character in the game, like imagine having like, I don't know, I'm just Thor from Marvel appears, or Wolverine, or like, I don't know. But yeah, I would not add any of this into the game, personally. I'd just let the game be. You know, it's okay with its own cosmetics. Again, though, this all comes down to financial pressures, doesn't it? At some point, maybe there'll be some sort of pressure on them to do this. I don't know. I hope there won't be. Because hopefully the development costs are quite low for Helldivers 2 and it's returning a ton, so it doesn't really need to be like pumped up to the levels of a Call of Duty or anything like that, which is absolutely pumping out loads of crazy content which has no bearing on the game whatsoever. It's just there to make money. So what about weapon balance and what's been going on at Arrowhead? Okay, well, look at this. Once again, we're seeing newer weapons in the war bond not fully getting restocked when you pick up resupply boxes. Now, they should, because they made a change to the ammo economy quite recently, where if you loot a resupply box, you'll get full mags from it. But you don't for the Tenderizer, and you actually don't for the Verdict. Now, I think the Verdict, actually, is quite a good pistol. I've been enjoying using it. You guys can see footage in this video of me using it every now and again. But it only gets half ammo. Now, probably what this is, it's not the devs not testing it or anything crazy like that. What it'll be is there's probably some sort of table, some sort of spreadsheet for the weapon, and they've just forgot to update that when you loot a resupply box, or even for the resupply box, there might be a spreadsheet. It gives full ammo to these weapons because they've been added to the game. I think that's probably where we're going. Anyway, weapon balance is a hot subject right now. And it's not about weapons, I guess, being balanced. It's about weapons being fun. I think when we say weapon balance, we mean like in terms of numbers. Oh, is this one powerful? Is this one better than this one? And all of that. No, it's about weapons being fun. They've got to be balanced for fun, and we know the CEO agrees with that. So I think all eyes are going to be on the next balance pass in the game to see what they do with weapons and what they do with some of the newer weapons as well. All right, guys, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. Like I said, it always helps the algo if you leave a comment, like the video, and all of that stuff. And yeah, I'll catch you lovely lot on the next one. See you soon.
We launched the big rocket, so we did a good job.